I am really excited. Oh, I guess now we're on air. I'm really excited to talk to you again. It's been a while, but I want to say thanks for taking time to share your tips with students, especially students who are looking for a job and maybe have a PR, communications, marketing background, and are interested in a job like yours. So thank you so much, Rachel Polish, for joining me.
Thank you for having me. I'm really excited. This is my first time being the center of attention. I'm usually doing this a lot of the behind the scenes work for setting these up and coordinating. So it's kind of nice to be the one talking instead of just socializing on Twitter and all of that in the
Excellent. Excellent. Well, I'm thrilled to have you and hope that students can take away some great tips from you and learn from your successes. I should mention that we've known each other for 2 years, although we've only recently reconnected because you took a course that I developed at Framingham State, event planning and new media. And I was just curious, what made you want to decide to take that course?
So I was a senior. It was my 5th year. I was a senior. I majored in nutrition, so I had gone through most of the nutrition curriculum at that point, and I was kind of toying where I wanted to go, as I'm sure many seniors do at that point. Which direction? What do I want to do? And the typical route for a nutrition student was to become a dietitian or a nutritionist, or work in a hospital or do some kind of food service managing role. And I just kind of knew that that wasn't going to be what I ended up doing. I really wanted to be more along the lines of event promotion, event coordination, and in the nutrition field. I still have a passion for food, but not in the same clinical sense that most people have when they major in nutrition. So I had a few extra credits that I could take, and I had to fill those. So I was looking for something that would be interesting and give me experience outside of the nutrition field, because it's very scientific, it's very by the books, it's very planned out for you. And I knew that I needed something else that was going to get me a job that I would enjoy. And I wasn't against sticking things out and, starting really small and working my way up the ladder, but I didn't want to have to do it for 10 years. And so whatever I could do at that point to learn more about the industry that I thought I would like better, that was what I was going to do. So when I saw the event planning course as a new option, I think it was a newer offering at the time, I was like, that sounds interesting. Why not? And it ended up turning out really well. So it was a good choice. And I still think at this point, and we'll probably talk a little as the discussion goes on, but I still think that taking courses outside of the direct curriculum is so essential, especially for people. I mean, a lot of people in the nutrition field like the very, it's a very scientific, and they're on the path, and that's good for you. But if you have any kind of inkling that you might want to do something a little non-traditional, I would really encourage people to consider other courses outside of their department that might be beneficial, in a different aspect, that are a little more broad, but still get you towards something you might be more interested in.
And that particular course was offered through the communications school at Framingham State University. Used to be college when I went there, but now it's university. Can you tell me a little bit more about how you ended up at Framingham? It's a state school in Massachusetts.
I'm originally from New York, Westchester, New York. I grew up in a small town about an hour north of New York City, North Salem, New York. And it was a small school a pretty, a lot of my friends went to very good schools. My best friend, Alexa, graduated from UPenn. And so it was, I don't think anyone in my high school had ever gone to Framingham before. Like I was the first one, but I was interested in nutrition. At the time, I really thought nutrition. I had done my high school internship in with a dietitian, and I really thought I would end up being a dietitian at that point. So Framingham is, at the time, was the top 10 nutrition programs in the country, still is. And I thought, it was very reasonably priced. It was between that and University of Delaware for me. And it was, I walked away with no student loans. So the Framingham, I'm all about that. So it was a good choice for many reasons. I'm happy I went there. And I just chose it based on the nutrition program was really and it wasn't too far from home.
Yeah.
2.5 hours.
And one thing that I think is really remarkable about Framingham is the professors are really there to teach. They're not, they may be doing research, but I'm not sure about nutrition, but I know when I was there a long time ago, but most of the faculty are not focused on research. They're really focused on teaching.
The Janet Schwartz, the chair of the nutrition department, I think was, for me, she wasn't so much into the clinical side either. So she was more along the lines of community nutrition. I did an abroad trip to Italy on a slow food tour with her.
Wow.
And a few other nutrition students at the time. I think I was a junior. And that kind of like solidified. I remember day one walking into my advisor's office, and they encourage you to go one way, and just like in my gut, I kind of knew, I don't know, like I could end up there, maybe not, but as that trip really kind of made me feel okay that it, going the traditional route didn't have to be my only option. And I think that's because of...
Traditional would be like working in a hospital.
Yeah.
Because I have a bunch of friends and relatives who all work, at Children's Hospital or...
Because it's really safe. Not necessarily anymore, but I think people think it's safer to have a typical job, where you have your salary and your your set number of vacation days, and
it's traditional.
Yeah, it's traditional. So for me, that trip was the first moment where I thought it's okay to do something a little bit different. You don't have to go to work in a hospital. And I still didn't know, what I would end up doing at that time. But I, at that point, was open to exploring a little bit more. And I think it had to do with Janet being so understanding and kind of encouraging, and focused more on the community side. And so I appreciated that. Also, at the same time I was taking your course, I took another course. It was computer applications for nutrition, and it was taught by a dietitian who works for Cooking Matters. And she was also had her own food blog, and she actually won her wedding based on her food blog. And when she told that story, yeah, she wanted a kind of a sustainable, she was a dietitian. She is a dietitian. She wanted a sustainable wedding. And so she applied via her blog. And because she had such a social presence, she won the sustainable wedding, all paid for. And like, that also gave me like, okay, this is kind of powerful. You can win a wedding. That's nuts. So I don't know, like a combination of those things. So you're right. The teachers are not necessarily into just research. I never had any TAs. This classes were really small. So I think that helped. Yeah.
Well, tell me about what you're doing now.
I work for Subi Zimmerman. She is a lifelong entrepreneur. She likes to say that she's started her first business on the playground at 13, selling barrettes when she wasn't supposed to. And she'd probably laugh if I tell that story because she's told that story 55 times. And we always make fun of her. But she lives in Wellesley, and so I'll back up to what I did right after I left school and kind of go through how I got here.
Great.
I walked out of school and got a job in September after graduation and hated it. It was horrible. It was marketing, direct marketing. It was like a total manipulation, and it's like the job that you never want to talk about, but you kind of have to like explain where you got where you are. So I left after 4 months and didn't have another job lined up right away. I just knew I couldn't do that anymore. So I was home surfing the internet for a while, and I still had that inkling of I needed to do something social. I needed to do something about events. And so I really needed to learn more hard skills and more techniques and strategies, and like, what is this industry even about? What do people with these jobs actually do day to day? It's one thing to say you can, have a conversation with people on Twitter, but where's the strategy behind things? Where are people spending their time? What are they doing? So I was surfing the internet, and I think I came up on YouTube. I searched Instagram marketing because I think the key for me was I knew that people weren't necessarily great at Instagram yet, at least businesses from a business side.
Mm-hmm.
And so I wanted to learn, okay, if I could figure out something about Instagram, I could walk into a job interview and say, this is what I could do to help you because you don't have an Instagram strategy yet.
Mm-hmm.
And, I thought that would look cool on paper. So I was like, okay, I'll learn Instagram. And a video with Sue popped up, and I watched it, and then I watched the next one and the next one and the next one because she has a YouTube channel. And it was so interesting for me that I knew I needed to say something. I found out she lived in Wellesley, which is really close to where I live. I reached out to her and basically just said, can you have a conversation with me? I'm just curious about where I can learn more, what I can be doing. Are there any resources you suggest? And she said, call me. I need an intern. And so I ended up working with her for free as an intern for several months. And I know that people get nervous about taking on things that they're not paid for, especially after you've been paid at some point. You kind of have this perception that I work full time. I'm an adult. I already know what I'm doing. And I should only be looking for paid things. But from my perspective, I knew that doing something for free would get me 1% closer to the exact place I wanted to be, which is right now where I am. And so I was totally willing to do stuff for free. I did whatever. I managed Instagram accounts for her. I helped her with, slide presentations, and it kind of evolved over time. At first I was getting a stipend, and then by the end of the summer, so I'd say 5 months, maybe not even the end, I was working full time and still am. So it's been about a year and a few months since I started, and I am now the content and marketing director for everything that we do. So I write all of the email copy that goes out to our email list, which is a pretty decent sized email list, and growing every single week. We grow about 250 email subscribers every week, which is
Awesome.
is really good, I would say, for this industry. And, I spend a lot of my time engaging online. I do a lot of social media management for us, a lot of scheduling of, tweets and Facebook and, YouTube content strategy and uploading and keywords and blogging and writing guest post articles for other people. And it's a lot of copy editing and that kind of thing, which I know you're familiar with.
Yeah.
Your time at the Boston Globe. And I love every second of it. I would not trade anything at all. Like, I cannot imagine doing anything else. I can't believe how far I've come in a year. It's pretty surprising. You know, I still think like, what the heck, like, how did this even happen? But you know, it's a very small team. It's me, Sue, who is pretty much the face of the business, and Morgan, who does all of the back end, you know, the website, managing the website, all of the payment processes from our customers, building landing pages, and those kinds of things. So she and I Skype day to day. So it's a really collaborative thing. But really, I mean, that's it. We have some other VAs that work part-time for us, but it's really small shop. But for the size company, we're doing very well. And I think the most rewarding thing for me over the course of this process has been watching the growth and feeling like I have something to do with it. And I've been able to streamline and focus the tasks and the strategy and the message. I have her voice down. You know, people think she's surprised. You know, I could do an impression of her, and so that's been kind of funny. People are like, wait, Rachel wrote that? That was you? And that's all part of the learning process. You definitely, if you're working for someone or a brand, you have to get their voice down. So,
and she has a pretty distinctive voice.
Yes. I mean, she's not afraid to curse in front of people. She's not about being perfect. You know, she feels like a 20-year-old running around, like, you know, just having fun. She's, you know, she's been in Punta Cana for the last week and, you know, having a shit ton of fun. That's like her favorite word. So I mean, we all have a blast, and I literally love what I do. I work from home. Like, this entire horrible winter, I didn't have to leave my house one time when it was snowing, and I was very grateful for that. So, yeah, long commute from one room to the next. But
what are some of the perks?
Yes, the perks. I mean, I got to go to Social Media Marketing World, and
how reconnected. Wait a second, Rachel.
I know, that was so wild. I saw a tweet that you were tweeting, I think, about Steve Dotto, and I was like, wait, Steve Dotto? I know Steve Dotto. We love Steve Dotto. And for anyone watching, go watch Steve Dotto's YouTube channel. He is hilarious, and he teaches a lot of great stuff about productivity.
Nice.
And yeah, I was like, wait, you were in San Diego? How are you? Like, and I didn't see you. I mean, there are a lot of people there, but it was just funny.
Yeah. So
I had to say something.
We didn't even get to have a margarita together.
I know.
Oh, well, next year.
Right? Do that.
Yeah, definitely. Well, and so what other perks are there?
I mean, the freedom to just like, I think like, I mean, I don't have a number of vacation days. Like, I'm not, and you would think that would make somebody take advantage or, not, be lazy. But I am so grateful that I can wake up and, get online at 7 a.m. if I want, or I can get online at 11 a.m. if I want, or I could take the day off, or, I could work on Saturday if I really wanted to. I am a pretty, into a routine kind of person. So I work from, generally 8 a.m. to 5, 6, whatever. But then, if I want to go for a run in the middle of the afternoon, like, I do it. So I think the flexibility to do what I want when I want. I work with really smart people. Meeting people that are top in the industry is just insane. Like, we just partnered with Amy Porterfield. She's
nice.
She used to do Facebook and social media for Tony Robbins, and she now is one of the top online marketers that you'll find. And she asked us to contribute to her latest course, the Profit Lab. And so we're affiliates for that course. We have our own session. Sue did a presentation in that. I created the presentation that is in that course. So like, I feel very much connected to every single element of us out there in the world. So it's really, the perks are endless.
That's really cool.
And she's a really good cook. So when I go to her house, like she lives in Wellesley, I'll go there about twice a month or so, and she makes lunch, and it's always good and healthy. And I'm into nutrition, so she was a nutrition major too. She went to what's the all-girls school that's really close?
Simmons?
Simmons, yes. She went to Simmons in nutrition. It was like really bizarre.
Yeah. Huh. You guys
Yeah.
have real kindred spirits.
I know. Yeah, but the perks are endless.
That's great.
Yeah.
And if someone wanted to, if a student, picture yourself, 2 years back, right? What skills do you think someone, in your spot, who wants to be in your spot now, what do you think they should be working on?
First and foremost, I want to say that there's this myth about networking, I think, or this perception about networking that it's this scary like thing that I have to go do. I have to go do this networking thing. And it's not. It's like, I think it's fun if you have something to talk about. If you go in there and you have nothing going on, you have nothing to show for yourself, you have nothing to, contribute to a conversation, then I can understand it's intimidating, but it doesn't have to be. And so positioning yourself to have something to talk about, and that doesn't necessarily mean you have 3 internships and 1 year experience and and I worked at this, 30,000 employee company. And I mean, it doesn't have to be like that. Like, you can have anything, any kind of portfolio that gives you something interesting and relevant to talk about, makes networking so much less scary and intimidating. So being comfortable developing things and your own voice and having something to show for yourself. So if I were to do it over again, obviously I didn't need to, because now I have all of the work I do for Sue as my kind of portfolio. But I mean, at the time I had nothing to show for myself. So I was trying to figure that out. And I would say, putting together some kind of blog or WordPress website or YouTube channel, or become a Periscope personality like that, something interesting, learn, I help, I help a famous YouTuber, increase their followers by 10% by telling them this one tip. Like, as you have a go-to strategy that will work for someone, like, what are some interesting things you could build and talk to the online world about, especially if you want to be in social media and marketing, because let's face it, that's where people are marketing and that's where the eyeballs are. So it's there to stay, for a while, until all of the marketers ruin it, like Gary Vaynerchuk likes to say. Marketers ruin everything. Very true.
Yeah.
I would also say, like, listening to as much as you can outside of school. I think higher ed has a hard time adapting at the pace of the rest of the world. There's lots of loopholes and policies and committees that have to be, gone through to get anything to change. And so just because you're not learning something in school doesn't mean it's not happening out in the world. There's so much going on, and so much that I learned the first 3 months of doing this. I was twice a week for 3 months, and I learned more than I did in 90% of my college experience. So what can you do to learn? There's so many webinars going on for free, because that's how you sell these days. It's a lot how a lot of people sell is through webinars. And so people are always giving away free webinars to get somebody to watch it. And so you don't have to buy what they sell at the end, just watch the webinar.
Right.
There's podcasts, like, I'll give you a few of my favorites. James Altucher, he's an amazing person to listen to. He's a blogger, an author, New York Times bestseller. He's crazy, amazing to listen to. Chris Brogan is a local Boston podcaster, and he always has an interesting spin. He's a nerdy guy, and he always has something interesting to say. And then Amy Porterfield has a really good, like, technical social media podcast. Also Social Media Examiner. He's a good podcast for like specific skills. So I would say listening to podcasts, once a day on a long car ride. I go in and out listening to different ones, but you get a lot of like, there are some that are more inspirational and some that are a little more technical. So finding a balance of those two kinds of things really helps. And it gives you motivation every day. Like, oh, that's an interesting thought. Maybe I'll look into that. Or, oh, that's such a good point. If you learn 10 things on a podcast and then you walk into an interview and you talk about these ideas that you have, that sounds so impressive. That, rather than saying, well, I was a communications major and I wrote an essay about social media.
Right.
Like that's nice, but what are the ideas you have? Because you have to have a little bit of originality, a little bit of creativity. Anyone that's too dry is going to have a really hard time. Mm-hmm. So getting that inspiration from outside sources is really helpful, I think. So, and then also there's some free education platforms. Creative Live, we've been a part of. I think it's a great platform for anyone on the creative side of things. They do have they serve mostly musicians, artists, creative people, Etsy shop owners, that kind of thing. But they do have a money and life channel, and that has a lot of free. How it works, it's free to watch while it's live streaming, and so you can watch their 3-day courses or their 1-day courses for free. And then if you absolutely love the content and you're really getting a lot out of it, you can buy it for, I think, while it's live, it's $99 or $149, which is a lot for a college student, but you do have the option to watch it for free if you have the time. And so I would say we've done 2 courses with them, and it's a really fun experience too. Like I had a whole 30-minute session, and I think we had, probably 20,000 people watch.
Wow.
Just up until we were live. So that was some fun exposure. And we have a 3rd course lined up for November. And I don't know if I'll be on stage again then, but we'll see. So, I would just say absorbing as much. Like I have a line in my Twitter bio and on my Instagram bio. I watch webinars on the weekends because it's true. Like I actually like it. That's what I do at night when most people are watching The Bachelor or, I do like House of Cards. That's the one thing I watch. But, I'm not big into TV so much. I watch educational things, which sounds so lame that I'm saying it, but it's true. It's true.
No, that's what separates most people. Yeah. And, like the people who you need to stay ahead, and there's so much to keep in track of. And that's one way to do it. But I do think it's important to pick one show, like pick one hit show and watch it and like really get into it, because that's, talking about networking, like you can go to House of Cards and talk to people about House of Cards, at a networking event, and create a connection that way. It doesn't have to necessarily be about work. And also productivity. You do a productivity tip. Who doesn't need to be more productive? Exactly.
Yeah, no, that's very true. I watch YouTube. I guess I watch YouTube too. I love Gary Vaynerchuk's YouTube channel. Obviously, I love his book. If anyone wants a book to read, it's Crush It, or Jab, 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 Right Hook is his most recent, which is a good place to start if you're curious how social media, how people even make money doing it. Read these 2 things because they're good.
That's awesome. What about for people who might be more experienced? What other tips might you have? Later in your career.
I would say studying, finding what you're good at. You might have a bunch of different roles on your plate and responsibilities that you do, but what's your favorite? And what are you really good at? And how can you turn that into something for yourself? So Are you can you speak to that online? Are you engaging in Twitter chats about a particular topic? How do you get yourself to be known for a certain skill? And then who do you know out in the world that needs that skill? So there are plenty of people, like if anyone's good at Google Analytics, I'd love to meet them, because that's the one place that we are still trying to get good at. So you do?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Google Analytics is like where we are trying to up our game. We've got all the pieces, but the Google Analytics piece, like, if somebody sent me an email tomorrow and said, I'm really great, I've been working on Google Analytics, I've, done it for my site, this person's site, and that person's site, and they've, were able to increase their traffic by 40% or their click-through rates by 40%, just by me helping them for, X amount of time. Can I see what I can do for you? I'd be like, sure, because I got nobody else in line at this point. So, honing in on a certain skill set, for me, I've realized over the last year that I'm pretty good at writing email copy. And so I used to hate to write. I still kind of do. But it depends. Like, now that I'm better at writing in her voice, I don't hate it so much. It's still the first thing I do every day. If I have to write an email to go out to our list, it's still, the first thing I want to get off. But I find that because I'm better at it now, it's not so dreadful, and we have a better success rate because of it. So if I were to, now if I were to walk into an interview or a job or try and track down someone, I would be very comfortable speaking to, the fact that I write fairly decent emails that get, 30 to 40% open rates sometimes. Wow. And lots of click-throughs. And, we just sent out one email yesterday, and it had one link to one webinar page, and it was at the very bottom, like it was not even obvious. And tons of opt-ins, like tons.
That's great.
Tons. So
that's fantastic.
Yeah.
That's a very great skill to have, and to be able to attach those metrics. I think that's one thing that employers are really looking for or the way I explain it to students who I work with is, tell me what you can do for me, and then back it up with what you did with somebody, for somebody else. Right? Or why you have that skill or that confidence. And a lot of times that could be a portfolio piece. In the courses that I develop, there's always portfolio pieces attached, that you could potentially bring to an interview and say, here, I did this. Because I think that's really important.
Definitely having proof, for sure, is, hard evidence to support your claims about yourself, is very, very impactful. But it's hard to get there. So you have to do it for somebody first. And who is that somebody going to be? Is it going to be for, are you going to wait around for someone to hire you, or are you going to do it yourself? So, unless you get the opportunity to do it in a course. And still, I think sometimes it can be kind of difficult to make it realistic. So why not do it for yourself first and foremost?
Or maybe work with a nonprofit. So a lot of times I recommend to students that find a nonprofit, and help them, because if you watch a few webinars, let's say just on email marketing, and then go in to their MailChimp or their Constant Contact or whatever, and say, I can fix these 3 things for you. That's, and then be able to see the conversion metrics after that, bring that into an interview. I'm really paying attention. Okay, you do that for me? That would be awesome.
Absolutely. That's another good point. It's funny that you say nonprofit, because your course was heavily focused on nonprofit, like you just said, and I found it interestingly difficult to find a full-time job with a nonprofit, because they have such small budgets, and they don't necessarily have the funding to hire someone just for social media, which is what obviously your job, like my job, is much more than that at this point, of content development and product development. But I didn't realize like that they're, they don't have the funding to even fund like an entry level person. If they're going to pay for somebody, they've got to get someone that has decent experience and can, get things done, because,
Right.
there's no one, they don't have a giant team with someone up here that could teach me down here everything I need to know. Once I realized that, that's when I knew I needed to learn more on my own. And that's when I was doing a lot of my, my side research and investigation on Instagram.
The weekend webinar warrior.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
And what are like, let's say 3 skills that you think would be really crucial to walk into an entry-level job in your field?
Skills. Okay. So I would say having an eye for really good ads. And I say ads because there's a whole series. I guess I don't mean ads. I mean sales funnels.
Mm-hmm.
So where does a sales funnel start? Where does a sales funnel, what's the goal for the person, your ideal target customer? So for us, it starts with a free opt-in. So it's getting somebody to join our email list. And so we use a variety of different things. So getting somebody to sign up for a webinar, a free webinar, having somebody download a free PDF or a free ebook or any of our lower end products. That gets somebody into our funnel, into our community, and it allows, if we have their email list, it allows us email address, it allows us to continue to contact them. So what are the different kinds of things that companies are doing to get people on an email list? Because that's the biggest thing in this, the way to convert is to grow your email list. It's a direct link, and the bigger your email list, the more, potential people you can talk to, the more money you can make. So having an understanding of a sales funnel is definitely key. I also think graphic design skills, if I were to go back to school, and which I won't be doing because I'm not that kind of person. Some people can go to school all their lives, but I'm sticking to my webinars and digital everything. But I would say graphic design, that's the one thing that I don't have the patience to learn on my own. I would say, like, I could listen to stuff about Facebook ads and Twitter and, now I'm into Periscope these days. Like, what are the latest and greatest to, like, I can't sit down and learn graphic design. It's just not something that I am that interested in. So I think if I had to, I would have probably opted to take a graphic design course just to get through it, because right now I still rely on a team that we have to do graphics, and it's just really slow. I'd much rather to be able to do a lot of it myself, and I do some of it with a free tool, Canva.
Canva.
Yeah, I do use Canva for a lot of things, maybe 50%, but there are some things you really just can't, you have to have somebody do for you. So, getting really good at graphic design would really help. And so I would say do that in college if that's not your obsession, because it's a technical skill that I think is harder to learn on your own unless you're really obsessive about it. And getting to know digital voice. So it's much different than essay writing, than I would even say different than news.
Mm-hmm.
Like writing for delivering news, like the digital voice of trying to sell something I think it's very different. It's a lot more conversational these days. It's a lot less discount today, free only, 50% off through Mother's Day. It's so not like that for the most part. It's very much like, I'm going to give you as much value as I possibly can for as long as I can before I even ask you for anything.
Right.
That's a lot of what jab, 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 right hook is about. But it actually works. It's not just something people talk about. It's very true. If you get people on your side and you get them interested and they like who you are, they trust who you are, they're much more likely down the road when you do ask them for something to buy it. So, but how do you get somebody to like you in the first place?
Right.
You have to give value and you have to have an interesting voice that is conversational and sounds like them, sounds relatable. So look at how, you know, if you have a target audience, how are they talking? What are they saying? What are the kinds of words that they're already using in their language to communicate with each other and with brands? So, and how can you replicate that? Like when I work with, when I do some consulting for social media clients, like Instagram clients, they like, what do I even post? I have no idea. Like, what kind of content do I even share? Well, okay, find 10 of your, 10 of your ideal customers. They could be customers you already have, and look at what they're sharing and see like the angles, the lighting, the types of props they're using. The kind of,
you don't even have to engage with them. You just look at what they're posting.
Just look at it and try to replicate it. I mean, there's a thing called a deskie. It's like a selfie for your desk. And so like people love taking pictures, you know, like they've got their mug. I think I have like one on my Instagram account if anyone's interested. It's Rachel Polish, Rachel. There's one on there, and it's like, you know, you've got your mug and your pen and, you know, your lip gloss if you're a girl, and, you know, your coffee or your, you know, your Starbucks cup or whatever. And that's really popular. And so people see that in their feed and they think, oh, that's how I post. So I'm, you know, they're cool. I'll post them. So just, you know, even if it's product placement of your own, if you sell scissors, like if you sell scissors, put your pair of scissors in the cup next to the desk. Like that's what looks natural to your customer. So how do you get to that point where you understand customer voice and
selling scissors? Send your new scissors, new prototype to 10 best customers, and say, hey, we would love to see a deskie.
Yes,
exactly. With your scissors.
Exactly. I mean, it could be a contractor cutting whatever like plans they have. It could be somebody sewing.
Scrapbooking.
Like it could be my boyfriend who likes to cut his t-shirts so that he has a tank top to wear to the gym. Like, I don't know, like just something interesting that people are doing with scissors. And so putting it in its natural element is much, it's not the traditional, here's our scissors and they've got a new glittery handle that we're just launching today. Grab it while it's on sale. Like that's not how it works. And so just paying attention to the different kinds of campaigns and language that people use will help you understand the differences between, a news voice versus an essay voice versus a research voice versus a social media voice.
It's so much more fun, isn't it? I mean,
yes.
Like the voice part's more fun. It's more natural. And then also the creative elements too are just much more.
And it takes time. I'm a photo hoarder now. I take so many photos just to have in my arsenal so that if I'm dying for something to share and I have nothing, I know I never have nothing. I've always got something ready to go.
Right.
And because I'm stocking up, I'm paying attention to textures and I'm speaking to more of the Instagram space at this point, but Instagram's huge. Yeah. 300 million active users at this point, closer to 400.
Wow.
So, I live and breathe this. If I walk, tomorrow I go to the beach. My boss, Sue, has a very nautical branding. If I see, some kind of interesting texture with shells and the water, I'll take a picture and save it. It doesn't sleep. It's not like a shut down, turn it off. And that could be unappealing to many people. But for me, I never feel like I have to go escape because I like it so much.
Mhm.
you know, that I have my moments where I just, you know, I want to go to the mall or something. But, you know, if I still get excited. I mean, I've got like notifications all day with, you know, people liking stuff and commenting. And so I love it.
So what do you have one quick tip that somebody could do tomorrow to get ahead of the curve?
Um, I would pick one platform, your favorite one, and just go follow the top people that are teaching social media marketing about that platform.
Hmm.
So if you love Twitter already for yourself, go find Kim Garst, Joel Comm, who else teaches Twitter? AJ Amex. He's a newer one, up and coming. I mean, all of these people teach Twitter. So learn everything you can possibly learn about Twitter so that if you walked in to a job interview, you could tell them 10 things that they could do tomorrow that would help grow their Twitter following. So if you're learning from people that are teaching it every single day, you're up to, because if, I mean, we are always on our Instagram game. Like we're trying to keep up with this new ad stuff going on. So it's our job to deliver the latest and greatest information. So for anyone that's following us, they're going to get Instagram information from us daily, every single day. And so you don't have to worry about trying to figure it out yourself all the time. You just, if you want to know about Instagram, you just follow our blogs and YouTube and our
Hmm.
Instagram account. So do that for anyone else that's teaching your favorite platform. YouTube, there are a lot of people that teach, you know, how to make better videos, how to improve your search engine optimization, your SEO, for your YouTube channel, for your blogs. Ian Cleary has a great, if you're interested in like tools that help you learn, you know, track analytics or find more followers, or, you know, just any kind of tools that have to do with social media.
Cool.
Ian Cleary has a great blog called Razor Social. So that's a really good place to learn if you just want to learn about tools. Like, I mean, pick one thing for yourself that you already like to do so it's fun, and find the people that are teaching it and follow them and learn from them. And you know, if they can teach it to you and you can learn from them, then you'll be able to teach it to someone you work for.
And Sue has a whole bunch of people that, you know, you could just go onto her website and check out, right, to see who else she recommends who are like her but doing Facebook
Mm-hmm.
or doing LinkedIn.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I could shoot them off right now.
Yeah, go for it.
LinkedIn, I would go to Vivica Von Rosen. She's the number one, in my mind, LinkedIn person. YouTube, I would say Sean Cannell. He's a YouTuber. Sean Cannell and Steve Dotto, along with his productivity stuff, teaches YouTube stuff. And Savvy Sexy Social is a YouTuber teaching social media, but she's got, if you pay attention to what she's doing, you'll catch on to those YouTube strategies. So that's Savvy Sexy Social. For
Nice.
Twitter, like I said, at Kim Garst and Joel Comm.
Facebook.
Facebook, I would go to Amy Porterfield. She's, in my mind, tippity top. Instagram is us, Sue, Sue, the Instagram expert, Sue B. Zimmerman. What am I missing? LinkedIn, Pinterest, Cynthia Sanchez. We have a good YouTube video about the difference between Pinterest and Instagram with Cynthia Sanchez. They filmed that together.
Great.
Yeah. I don't know if there are any others, but those are like the people that we, yeah.
Right? Yeah. Like just when you think, oh, I just graduated, I don't have to worry about this stuff anymore. Nope, we have a whole new curriculum for you.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's changing every day, and it's too hard. Like, it's too hard to keep up with every single platform. Like, to me, LinkedIn, like I'm on there, but it's tougher for me to like get excited about it and all the nuances and the ins and outs. So I'd rather, you know, if I follow Vivica, and when I learn something here and there from her, great. I'm in Instagram mode right now. I'm kind of like, where I'm thinking about getting Sue to do a weekly Periscope chat. So I'm paying attention to Brian Fanzo, because he's been teaching a lot about Periscope and live video streaming in general. So like when I'm into something, I'm like, I got to figure this out. I got to crack this. So I mean, I get really obsessive over certain things. So
That's awesome. No, that's a good skill to have. Well, I know that you probably have other things that you probably want to jump into, but I was just wondering, what's the best way for people to reach out to you on social media?
I am on Instagram is my main sandbox of choice. So Rachel Polish on Instagram. On Twitter, I am Rach, Racha Polish. If you type Rachel Polish on Instagram, it'll go to the head of social media at JP Morgan, and that's not me. So,
So look at the bio.
yeah, so look at the bio, and you can reach me there. Or you can, I mean, if any of your students have any questions for me further than what we've talked about, send me an email, rpolish number 7@gmail.com, and I'd be happy to answer anything.
Yeah, that's awesome. And we're really looking forward to seeing you along with Sue at Newport Interactive Marketers June 9th here in Rhode Island.
I know, I'm excited.
Yeah, which particular segment of Instagram which one of her talks is she gonna give us?
She's probably going to dive into the community building piece of it. That's still, it's part of the presentation we did at Social Media Marketing World, and people really liked it. So we have a few tweaks in there, but yeah, she'll probably spend a lot of time on the community building, like the hashtag strategy, using geolocations and that kind of thing.
Nice. That's great. Yeah, because a lot of people come to Newport and have never been here before, or it's always changing. We have tons of new restaurants and things like that. So it's a good opportunity, I think. Newport's a great playground. It's certainly photogenic.
I know. Well, that's why the whole team is coming. me, Morgan, and Sue. We're like, Newport, we'll see you there.
Now, where's Morgan based?
Morgan is in DC at the moment. She went to George Washington. She's a systems engineer major, and she's halfway through, as of this week, her master's for engineering management. Wow. Morgan, don't kill me if I got that wrong. But she's halfway through, and so yeah, she's in DC. We all work remotely, but hours every day we're on Skype, going back and forth. Or what do you think about this picture for the website? We're redoing our website right now, so
yes,
a lot of website copy and photoshopping, the fun photoshopping, getting to choose the photos.
Yes,
that's what I call
fun photoshopping as opposed to the tool.
Yes.
Yeah. No, really excited to see you guys down here, and I really appreciate you taking the time to give any tips. Any last words of wisdom?
Don't be afraid to ask somebody a question that's really awkward. I said, who do I know about asking Sue? All I said to her with no intentions, other than getting some helpful advice for a recent grad, that was all I ever wanted, and I ended up with so much more. And so not being afraid to ask, not necessarily that question, but just asking people for help, people that you admire, people that you're interested in, people that intrigue you, a little mysterious. People love, a lot of people in this industry really do love helping other people. And so I think you'd be surprised at, how, a lot of people have their guard up, but you won't know if you don't ask. So I would say don't be afraid to ask.
And sometimes it's just a matter of timing too. I just had a baby, or whatever, something's happening that I can't get back to you right away. But it doesn't mean that you shouldn't try somebody else or
right
else. Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
Well, I think that's an amazing tip, and I really appreciate your time and sharing all your insights. And
thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, I can't wait to get together in person. It's gonna be so fun.
Yeah, I know. Like a few weeks.
Yeah. Well, congratulations on all your successes, and we'll
Thank you.
see you soon.
See
Thanks for.
ya.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.